And we are recording. All right, welcome everybody to episode 12 of the Boar and Stoke podcast, brought to you by the 50th anniversary Honda Goldwing. And without further ado, let's hear a little bit more about said Honda Goldwing. So get this, 50 years ago, Honda drops the Goldwing and totally rewrites the book on long-distance riding. And here we are, launching the Boar and Stoke podcast. Coincidence? Maybe. But we like to think great things start with bold moves, so maybe in 50 years we'll be celebrating our podcast anniversary, just like Honda is celebrating the Goldwings. Brought to you by Honda Power Sports, this episode is powered by the 50th anniversary Goldwing. If you're going to ride something legendary. All right, welcome back, everyone. So today's episode's a really special one, and so let's just get right into it with this really fun introduction. So when you think of motorcycles, the first images that probably come to mind are of speed and freedom and maybe even rebellion, right? But what you don't normally picture is something of the scientific method, lab work, years spent earning a PhD. Today's guest has managed to merge those worlds in a way that feels both unexpected and completely natural. She's built a platform where curiosity and critical thinking ride alongside throttle and torque. Her bike isn't just transportation, it's a tool for exploring identity, mental health, and even the physics that keep us upright on two wheels. Her journey started quietly with a secret motorcycle hidden from her parents, and it's taken her all the way to collaborating with some of the biggest brands in motorcycling. Along the way, she's shown that being a rider isn't about fitting a stereotype, it's about creating your own lane. So who is she? You might know her online as Lali, but today we get to know the person behind the helmet, simply known as Lali. Lali, welcome to the Boar and Stoke podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Troy. Wow, what an introduction.
Well, I worked all morning on that.
Thank you. I appreciated that. That one I can show to my parents, like, look, Mom, I've made something of myself.
Oh, we'll get to your parents in just a sec. Don't you worry. Don't you worry about that. So before we get started here, I wanted to touch on something that I saw on your IG, on your stories. You were just in New Jersey.
Yes.
As a guest of Aprilia, is that correct?
Yeah, it was Aprilia for Aprilia's Racer Days, doing a track day with them on Monday. And then I was there for the MotoAmerica weekend as well, doing some behind-the-scenes content with Harley Davidson.
Oh, can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I don't know.
I'd love probably to get publicity on that, yeah.
I didn't know if there was like a publishing schedule that you were working on or something like that. So, okay, back up a sec. You were in New Jersey for, I guess the MotoAmerica thing happened before.
Yeah, that was Sunday.
Yeah. So, have you been to a MotoAmerica event before?
Yeah, this was, I think, the third race that I went to see in person. I'd been before at New Jersey Motorsports Park, and then also Pit Race in Pittsburgh.
Right. I think I read somewhere that, like today, Pit Race is closing.
That's news to me.
Did I hold on. I need to double check this in case I'm spreading false information.
So somebody actually messaged me on Instagram earlier today, and they're like, "Did you hear about Pit Race?" And I'm like,
"Yes."
Did I hear about them as a track, or did I miss some drama that's going on? So maybe that's what she was referring to.
No, I was correct. Pit Race is closing at the end of this year.
No, why?
Yeah. And guess what? It's been sold to developers because, apartments.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
It's actually like out of all the tracks that I've been on, which is not many, but I hear great praises about it. Like Pit Race is an awesome track to be at.
I've never been, but I've seen it on TV or on my screens, and I'm like, that looks fun.
It's so cool. Smooth and nice.
Well,
so that's really unfortunate.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's happening.
Well, I don't want to be on this podcast anymore.
I know.
Now I'm sad.
Let's just start this off on a bad note. Dang it, I'm a terrible host.
It's only up from here, hopefully.
I like the way you think. I like that attitude. Okay, let's get into. So you were doing some stuff with Harley
Hmm.
in Jersey. What were you
Yeah,
doing?
it turns out it was, they're telling me is the first time really that they're doing anything like this, where they're kind of inviting along. It was me and one other journalist. And so I guess they had like one journalist and a YouTuber, and they wanted somebody that was kind of in the educational space, or they're trying to reach some type of new target audience. And I think I'm a good go-to resource to do that since I do a lot of educational content.
Uh huh.
So they took us behind the scenes. They kind of showed us here's what it takes, to get uh, a road glide from the street to sport ready racing bagger, and kind of what that process looks like, what we're going through. And so we learned a lot about that. We got to talk to some of the racers, get their feedback of what it's like racing for Harley. And it was just an overall very exhaustive but informative day. Yeah.
So like you well, did you like document a stock road glide and then go bit by bit into
So they
racing
didn't, I
bagger?
mean, I can put up, stock footage of a road glide and compare and contrast, but I was only getting footage of like the actual bagger. I think it was Kyle's that was just sitting in the garage that we were just filming around and pointing out parts like, oh, we did this, we stripped
Yeah,
this, we
yeah,
got shaved off 200 some pounds, et cetera, et
yeah.
cetera. So I didn't have like a stock model to go off of.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, Having been lucky enough to ride, I guess, version one of those bagger race bikes, it's pretty wild going from just your basic standard road glide to that thing that Kyle's riding. It is crazy at how one how heavy they are, but also like how good they work. But
Well, they took it.
it's
They said I think the stock one is like 830 pounds or something like that.
mm-hmm.
So they got it down to 620 pounds. I think they have to be a minimum
Yeah.
of 620. So I think in 2 years ago when I was at NJMP, I was talking to Patricia Fernandez about her bagger, and she said that at that point they had stripped off so much weight that they had to add weights into the saddlebags to bring it back into regulations, or else they couldn't race, which was insane. So those saddlebags were just hauling like dumbbells. I just
Isn't
thought
that
that
crazy?
that's a funny picture, but yeah, an insane amount of weight that they shaved off. I mean, they took out speakers, and now the saddlebags that are on that thing are not, they're kind of just like clip-ons. They're very
Yeah.
lightweight, so they're more there for show than anything.
I mean, if they had to add the weight back on, wouldn't it be cool if they put the sound system back in it to put that weight back on?
So that was, it's funny you mentioned that, because they were kind of like teasing that something was going to happen when Kyle takes the championship, and they were going to do something special. And I'd commented like, "Oh, is there anything in? Do you keep anything in those saddlebags?" And the manager just looked at me and like, "Stay tuned, and you'll find out." And I'm thinking at that point, is it fireworks, like they confetti, or like maybe they're just going to use them as coolers for like the beers and the ice? That would have been good. But no, they made them into speakers, and so they were pulling up and they were like blasting music as Kyle's like taking the podium, popping champagne. It was fun.
I mean, that's a missed opportunity, like doing a full race with just like ACDC blowing out the speakers each
Yeah,
lap.
I didn't understand their music choice, because I was expecting, like Free Bird to like free, like to, and they didn't. They played some Coldplay song, or I don't know. It didn't make sense. I was like, come on, ACDC.
I mean, I don't know, with all the just hearing the word Coldplay like strikes so many different things. But let's not get into that. Okay, so that was Harley. When are we going to see any of that content come out?
I am hoping to get it edited sometime this week. So hopefully in the next couple of days.
And you do your own edits, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Storyboarding, editing, writing, composing.
Yeah. Good for you.
Oh man.
I need to do that myself. I'm too lazy and I get somebody else to do it.
I mean, honestly, if I feel like I both have like this block in my head that if I hand it off to somebody else who knows what they're going to do with it. Not that I do like the greatest job. I'm an amateur. So I'm sure someone could do a better job. But in my mind, I'm like, no, it's
No,
mine. It's my baby.
I get that. No, I totally get that. It's your vision and you want to see it through no matter how good or bad you are at this process.
Yeah.
At least
Plus, if I hand it off to somebody, then they have to see my like 50 retakes of trying to say the same word like 20 times.
there gets take it from me. There's a point where you're just like, I don't care if he sees me flub the word whatever supercalifragilistic
Yeah.
of whatever 8 times.
They're gonna start charging me extra with the amount of retakes that they have to edit.
The best part is when they contact you and they're like, okay, why did you flub the easiest word over and over and over again? Yeah, they're like, I'm sick and tired of hearing your voice. I'm like, that's fair. I'm sick and tired of it too.
Same. Yeah. When I edit, I kind of go over the same spot too. You're gonna like cut out like 0.2 milliseconds to like cut out an or something. Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, there was a time when I did edit my stuff, and that was college. So
just like perpetually stuck in college.
Right. Okay, so now go over to Monday in the Aprilia day.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
So Aprilia does their whole hashtag slogan is to be a racer. So they sponsor. They do.
Let me interrupt you there. It's Bear Racer.
Bear.
That's anyway. Continue.
I'm afraid you've ruined it for me. And when I look at that again,
you will never not see it now.
Like I had it good in my mind now, but thanks for that, Troy. Appreciate it. Bear Racer.
Bear Racer.
So they're doing track days. I think they have a couple. They used to have, I think, only 3 or 4, but now they're doing way more with Evolve GT tracks to like expand to more tracks throughout the country. And to kind of raise awareness of what they're doing, they'll invite creators sometimes. Last time when I was doing this with them, I think it was just me, but this time it was Chase on Two Wheels was there at the NJMP one, Spike's Corner, and 650 Ebe. And they were putting on a whole creator race, I guess, a content creator race, which I cannot reveal the results of. I'm sorry. Top secret classified information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I almost messed up because I was going to put a photo of all of us on Instagram yesterday, and I didn't realize that the winner was wearing the belt, the winner's belt around his waist. Like, okay, I will not do that.
You did reveal his, so I take it.
Well, they were all 3 guys, so I don't know that narrows it down.
I mean, you could have won.
No, I wasn't in it.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, I was just there to do like content around the track days. They all have Aprilias to race on. So
gotcha.
I wouldn't even have been in like near them if I was racing against them. I have an interesting take on track days because I don't usually use track days in the traditional way that they're used. My take on track days is I want to do them so that I can be a better, faster, safer street rider rather than trying to like cut my lap times down. I don't even time myself, so I can't tell you how fast I'm even going, but every time I go to a track day, if it's associated with like a school, and there usually are coaches there doing like showing you the race lines, telling you how to take them. My focus is like race line. How do I take this safely? And then towards the end of the day, I'll improve my speed, but I'm typically pretty slow.
Well, expand upon that. I mean, I was about to ask you a different question, but that's interesting. Expand upon that. What do you mean by using those track days to improve your street riding?
In Pennsylvania, we have a program that's funded by PennDOT, and a portion of our motorcycle registration goes towards funding this program. And Total Control, Lee Parks' Total Control school funds that. And when I started riding, I took the basic rider course to get licensed. Then I took the intermediate riding course, which was like a parking lot course for slightly more advanced skills. And then they had an advanced riding course, which had a parking lot version. And then later I learned that there was also a track version of that same course where they take these concepts and move it to the track so at higher speeds. And so my first experience at a track ever was through Total Control training. And it wasn't a traditional track day. You had like 20 minutes of doing on track stuff like you do at a regular track day in A, B, and C sessions. But those 40 minutes in between, you were going back into the building, getting some personalized feedback from a coach if he was following you. And then you were learning about new concepts. And then in your next 20-minute session, you were directly implementing those concepts you just learned. And you repeat that like a total of 8 times throughout the day with like track feedback, track feedback, track feedback. And I think, pretty sure like Yamaha Champ School does something similar, probably a little bit more advanced, but also for like $2,000 more than a free course, or $300 if you're out of state or something like that. So because of that first track day being very much a coaching and learning experience, when I was doing my next track day and I saw it was like much more chaotic and disorganized, and it was just people like, crashing out a lot more, and just people like the fast people mixing with the slower riders and passing you, and you're like, what is going on? So I never timed myself to see how fast I was going, because that was never the focus. The focus was always more on, get your body positioning right. Make sure you're trail braking. Make sure you're loading the front tire before you initiate the turn. Make sure you're smooth and controlled on the throttle coming out. Make sure you're following the race line. And so like time wasn't even something that was mentioned at all. It was just like focus on getting better.
Well, those two things do work hand in hand. But you kind of answered it already, but like how have you taken that to your street riding?
Yeah, I think I feel like I get judgmental when I see other people doing like crazy stuff or like not practicing evasive maneuvers more, and I have to like take myself out of that mindset and remember that like you got really good professional training. Not everybody has the privilege to do that, so don't be judgmental. But
you're in a safe space here.
You
can talk about them.
But now it's much more. I was never a crazy rider to begin with, but now it's a lot more about like defensive maneuvers and like making sure I'm like, okay, if somebody comes from behind me and is going to crash into me, can I like, do one of these quick things to swerve around and make sure I don't hit that car? Or if like my attention is momentarily taken away from the road, and that has happened before, and then all of a sudden there's a car coming up, and I'm like, oh shoot, I don't just grab a handful of front brake. I make sure I'm controlled on it so I don't lock up. So they definitely do translate. And even when I'm riding, on back roads that I don't know, now I'm like, okay, I can practice trail braking. I know about loading the front tire. I know about not going crazy while my tires are cold, especially now, it's October up here in the north. It's getting colder outside. Give your tires more time to warm up. Think about the compound in the tire. They talk about that. So like a bunch of little like things that you can pick up here and there.
So as someone who has done a little bit of coaching at Champ School, and like a lot of these schools, if not all of these schools that I've either attended or helped coach at, like, yes, they're done in the track environment, but the point is to be able to take those things to the street. And so as someone who has done some coaching, everything you just said is like, you nailed everything on the head. It's like, that is the point.
Yeah.
That is why we do all of this, is so that the lessons you learn on the track, like, sure, if you like doing track days for going fast, whatever, great. But like, the more important thing is staying alive.
Right.
And everything you just said totally is like, if I was your coach that day, I would have been like, A+ student, good job, you nailed it. Awesome.
I wonder if that's a bias. Cool. I've been in school for so long that I'm like, yeah, more school. Give me school. I love lectures.
There you go. I think there is something there. There's a correlation there. Oh man.
Just give me the nerdy stuff.
I definitely have some more questions for you regarding schooling and all that jazz, but
you said you did some coaching for Champ School. Do you know like roughly what percentage of the students coming in are like actually training to, be competitive and do racing versus they're coming in just to be, high performance street riding techniques instead and be safer?
The people who are there to be racers was tiny. Super tiny, because it sounds kind of weird, but it's like they are the ones who want to be racers are so focused on their craft that like they're not coming to a like a public, not a
Hmm.
public but like the 2-day champ school with everybody from a brand new rider to
Right, right.
the
They have to
fast
be
guy.
like way
They're
more
getting,
tailored.
yeah, they're getting like one-on-one training sort of
Hmm.
a thing. So far more often, and granted I didn't do a lot of coaching, but the little that I did do, way more people who attended were probably, you could put them in either the B or the C group at
Hmm.
a track day. All of them that I can remember were very much interested in being better street riders. They also understood that learning all those things on the street is way more dangerous than coming to a racetrack. So the occasional fast guy in the A group would show up, and those were always fun. But far more often, it was B and C group level riders who just wanted to learn and get better.
I'm glad to hear that because I feel like there is a I don't know if it's necessarily lack of resources or lack of awareness that these programs exist, or maybe they're just expensive and out of reach for a lot of people. At least like, by expensive and out of reach, I mean like maybe for like the 20-year-old starting to ride motorcycles who just bought like a $6,000 bike and now like, what do you mean I have to spend
Yeah,
$2,000 to get training
for
and another
sure.
$1,000 on gear, like so I
For
think
sure.
some aspects are prohibitive of that, but sometimes I can't help but like I was born in Romania and I keep up with some riders who are from there and to see like the contrast in the amount of training they get before they even get licensed versus like what happens here. I'm like, no, I wish we had more more schools here or like more resources
Oh,
here.
it's the American freedom.
Uh-oh.
Did I cut out again?
A little bit, but only for a few seconds, I think.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's not particularly hot outside. Okay. Well, I'm here now. So, anyway, yeah, it's American freedom. We can sell Hayabusas to
This is true.
16-year-olds and be totally cool with that.
I think I edited a
Um,
funny reel about that actually. It was like beginner bikes for in like the United States, nah, 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 and then the Hayabusa comes up on screen. It's like, yeah, this one.
yeah, that's the one, baby.
That's the one, yeah, yeah.
Funny story about that. Like, this has already gone totally off the rails, but that's cool. Um, like, I grew up a car guy. Bikes didn't really enter my world until like my teenage years.
Mhm,
And then once I found that the two-wheeled bug, I was bugging my parents like, I want to get a motorcycle.
mhm,
And my dad was like, no, hell no, no way, no way. And then, like, what was it, I think it was my 18th birthday. I was like, just joking the day before to my dad, yeah, you're going to get me a motorcycle, right, Dad? And he was like, haha, funny. And then the next day, my birthday, I wake up and my dad goes, check out the living room. And I'm like, what? So I walk out to the living room and my dad gets this giant poster of a Hayabusa and puts it up on the living room wall. And it's like from end to end, like
mhm.
this wall to
Full
that wall,
size.
just full-sized Hayabusa poster. I got you a motorcycle. And I'm like, Dad, you're an ass.
I would. Did he know that that motorcycle was not a beginner friendly motorcycle? He just like picked the poster that
Oh,
you could find.
he picked the most gnarliest thing he could find and like, yeah, have that thing blown up as big as my wall, please. And I'm gonna plaster it on the wall for my
As a
son's
reminder of
birthday.
the gift you're not getting.
Right. Right. Anyway,
That's funny.
I didn't mean to start this off straight into what you did last weekend,
No, no,
but
you're good. It's a good start.
I wanted to get some background information first before we got into all of this. So, first of all, it's worth telling the viewer how we met in the first place. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. So we were doing the Triumph, either the Speed 400 or was it the Daytona 660?
Daytona 660.
Yeah, and I think you were sitting outside in like this beautiful resort that they had us in, and I think I just came up to you. I said hi, and then I started asking you questions about like really specific questions, and I was like, "Why do you know the answers to all of you're like an encyclopedia."
Because I've been doing this way too long.
Yeah, I think that's exactly probably what you told me. I was like, I bet you I could ask you like a question about like the 2015 Ninja 650 and you would like know. Like, oh yeah, that was the year that they messed up the suspension or something like.
How did you know what I was gonna say? Yeah, no, that was it. We were at Daytona 660, and I remember chatting with you, and I'd seen your profile before, and I knew who you were. I'd never actually met you before. That's the weird thing about being on, the socials.
Mhm.
People know you, but you don't know them, and you're like, wait, what? Huh?
Like I've seen your face, but I haven't seen you. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
just happened to me at NJMP with another Instagrammer that was there.
right, right. And it happens. I'm sure it happens to you way more than it happens to me. But anyway, yeah, we started chatting, and I will admit that my previous stereotypes of motorcycle influencers in the wild hasn't been great.
I don't blame you.
You are unfortunately put in that same bucket through no fault of your own. But after chatting with you and like getting to know you a little bit better, I was like genuinely impressed and surprised. I shouldn't even say surprised. I was really impressed, and like, you're not just some girl on a motorcycle. You've got, hate to put it this way, but you've got a brain. You've got a code,
Mhm.
for lack of a better term. Like you carry yourself very
Yeah.
well, and I was like, yeah, the kids are all right. The kids are all right.
Restored a little bit. No, you could say you're surprised to see me there because I was surprised to be there. I think I don't know. I feel like we're going through a weird transition time almost with media in the motorcycle space
Don't I
where
know it?
yeah, where like traditional media is changing to the point where like, even your outlet, you guys have a YouTube channel now. It's not just like print. And I think maybe it's different for the US group versus the Europe group, but I'm pretty sure Triumph had a group that was specifically like YouTubers and influencers or content creators, whatever you want to call them, from Europe coming to demo that bike. But for the US, they kind of like lumped us all together. And I was like surprised when I was there asking people, where's everyone's backgrounds from? Because I think it's traditionally just journalists that were doing these kind of events. And I was like, do we belong here?
Right.
Am I in the right room?
My memory might be kind of fuzzy, but I thought like the wave that came in after us were like the majority of the influencer crowd.
Maybe, but I don't think they were US based. I think they were all Euro
Oh, maybe you're right.
Euro,
Maybe you're
Euro
right.
people.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right. But yeah, that's the short version of how we met. Randomly in Spain.
Right, yeah.
Basically.
It's a small world.
So with that out of the way, let's to me, I want to talk about the non-motorcycle aspect of your life for just a hot sec.
Sure.
PhD in biomedical sciences, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So for those who don't know, explain what that is.
Yeah, so you basically dedicate 4 to 7 years of your life to being married to science and not having a life. And at the end, they give you this nice shiny paper to put on your wall. And then you get to show that to companies and say, hire me. Or if you want to, you get to continue doing research on your own for more papers like that. But okay, no, seriously, it was the science was something that has been like something I've always been interested in. I actually had to take down 2 degrees to hang these 2 more relevant photos canvases for this.
That's like, that is such a wild flex.
Like just let me get this wall of
Yeah.
degrees out of the way. But I've been in school for way too long.
Mm.
But no, science has been something that's always fascinated me, and I loved being a nerd. And I think at some point down the line, I just decided to embrace that. So I did my bachelor's, master's, and then my PhD. And along the way, I also got a certificate in bioinformatics, which is like computer science, but for biology.
Hmm.
And sometime in graduate school, when I was down at Johns Hopkins doing my master's, I was like, wow, I'm really sad. I need to bring my bike down here because I had been riding at that point for, I believe, a year and a half or two. And my parents didn't know about it yet. And I had my bike stored away in back in Pennsylvania at a friend's house where they would never
Ooh,
find it.
you're jumping ahead here. I
Yeah,
want to get
I'm
I
sorry.
want to get I want to get to that in a sec. But
I'll come back to that. Yeah.
yeah.
So I was down there and just feeling sad. So I brought the bike down there, and I was like, I have this like cool new hobby, and I can't even like share it with friends for fear that my parents will find out or something. So I started an Instagram page, and I think by accident, because I hadn't been on Instagram at that point, just left it public. Like I didn't put it private to my friends. And people just started following me as I was putting photos up, and they started asking questions about it, like how did you get started? Like what kind of bike is that? And I was like, you guys are asking a lot of questions. Let me just keep posting and I'll post answers. And so it was just nothing that I thought would turn into anything serious, but I was using it mostly as like a mental health escape from school because it was stressful. And so I
Mm.
was using it as an escape and just posting randomly along the way until people just started following and following. But that's kind of how I ended up from doing graduate school at the same time with motorcycles. It was first just kind of like an escape.
I mean, the answer to this is obvious on the surface, but was there anything in particular about grad school that got you into such a downbeat mood?
It was a lot of like it was a change of scenery for me because like I'm from the suburbs. I like me my country back roads and stuff like that. And so I was put into Baltimore, which is I mean not the greatest, safest city, or at least it seemed like that to me.
Mm.
Um, and so I was like really out of my element. And I had new city. I had one friend who was my roommate, who didn't ride.
Hmm.
Um, and then, new program, new school, new classmates, new curriculum. I think I remember we were doing like we had our first exam of the season, and I going into it, confident. I got this. I'm a nerd. I did good in college. This will be a breeze. I'm like feeling confident. I'm writing my answers down. I hand my test in. I walk out the door. I'm like, yeah, let's go. We got it. The first one's out of the
Mm.
way. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I got at least a B. I know for sure, like maybe a B plus. And I get the test back, and it's a D. I get D. I'm like, oh no, this is harder.
Oh,
This is gonna be harder than I thought.
huh.
So it was like a rude awakening for like what graduate school was. And eventually I got into the rhythm of things, but I was like, holy hell, this is a lot. And it was a master's program where you still had to write a thesis at the end of it. Not all master's programs make you do that, but this one at
Mm.
Hopkins did.
Mm.
And I had never written a document that long before. I didn't know what I was doing. It was it was all a big mystery to me. So I think it was just the combination of different environment, huge workload, not having a lot of friends in that space that kind of I went into a spiral.
Yeah. Um, so then how did motorcycles enter your life? How did you even know that was a thing you would like?
I believe one. This was before I entered uh, like graduate school. I was watching a YouTube video, and it was by I'm pretty sure it was from Chase on Two Wheels, and he was just riding around downtown Atlanta, having a good time, laughing. Just he was in traffic too, so I was like, I've never seen someone this happy in traffic. Like, what does this guy know about life that I don't? Like, he has something
In
to
Atlanta.
yeah, like in Atlanta traffic. And I'm like, how is he so happy?
Mm.
And I was initially just fascinated because I wasn't looking for motorcycle videos. It was like I was looking at funny like animal videos one random night, and I guess the algorithm wasn't what it is today on YouTube, and the recommended video was a moto vlog, from cat videos to moto vlogs.
Nice.
And I clicked on it because I thought the camera angle was interesting. It was on the helmet. I'd never seen that, and that's what got it started. It's like, this is fun. He looks like he's having fun. I want to try this. So it was a couple months of watching motovlogs, and then I eventually went and I secretly got my permit and took a basic rider course a few weeks later.
So before that point, like motorcycles were never a part of your life, never entered the conversation, nothing?
If you want to consider my dad's friend putting me on his at like 5 years old, he had like an old 200cc Honda something, and he put me on it and turned it on, and I started crying immediately. I got scared of it, but I think that's when they infected me with the bug. They sat me down on one when I was a kid, and you know, who knew? Yeah, I think that was my first experience like on a motorcycle. The only other thing I could even think that would remotely have gotten me into it, and this is like super nerdy sciencey stuff, but like you're imprinted as like a kid, as a young kid, with what you see in front of you, and it like carries throughout your life. And my dad was like always into like Formula One, and like he was an engineer, so he was like drawing and sketching. He had like models of F1 cars in his room, which I then ended up sleeping in as a baby. He had like posters of racers and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe I got like imprinted as a kid.
That's possible. I have a similar story. Like my
Yeah.
dad and I would, I mean, like I said, I was a car guy growing up because my dad
Mhm.
was as well. And
How young
we
were
would,
you when you like the earliest car memory you can remember?
oh, funny you say that because I was one of maybe my first memory is being underneath the car as my dad was whatever, changing the oil or something. I don't know what he was doing. But I remember I had like some sort of tool. I think it was like a wrench in my
Mhm.
hand, just like banging on something underneath the car, just like clang, 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 clang. That's like my earliest memory
Wow.
is like being whatever I was, 3 years old or whatever,
Yeah,
under the car with my dad, working on it with him,
that's amazing.
clanging on something underneath the car. Um,
Imagine mom coming in just seeing toddler under the car with a wrench. Like, what are you
I'm pretty sure she knew I was there. I hope.
doing?
Hi, mom.
Start him
But
young.
right, but then fast forward. You mentioned Formula One, so like fast forward into my teenage years, and my dad and I would like get up early and watch Formula One races live on TV,
That's awesome.
and yeah, it's funny. Like I don't have any clear moment where I turned my attention from four wheels to two,
Mhm. I mean, it just seems like a
but
natural progression. The
yeah,
communities sometimes overlap.
yeah, for sure. Um, okay, so this is the part where uh you were getting to a second ago. So you bought a motorcycle,
Yep.
didn't tell your parents.
Nope.
Tell me that story.
Yeah, they didn't know for like 2 years and some that I rode. So yeah, I took the basic rider course. Getting the permit was easy. They didn't I didn't have to hide that at all. It was just like a quick afternoon, and then the basic rider course was on a weekend. So I just told them I was off doing something else, hanging out with friends. And then I didn't buy a motorcycle for a few months until one of my friends that I had met at that course was selling his Ninja 250 because he was upgrading. And I thought to myself, why don't you sell it to me and I'll just keep it at your house because I don't want my parents to know. He was like, yeah, that's fine. So that's what happened. I kept it at his house, which was in Lancaster. It was like 30 minutes away from where I lived. And when I wanted to go ride it, I just said I was going to go do something. And I went over there and I was riding it. And they didn't find out for a good 2 years, but because I wasn't posting about it on Facebook at all, which is where they were, but they weren't on Instagram, and
As
that's where me
parents,
making, yeah,
as
they didn't know
parents
about
tend to
Instagram.
be. Yeah.
They knew about Facebook, but they didn't know about Instagram, and none of their friends were on Instagram either. So I was like, perfect. I can just upload here, and then my friends will get to see what cool stuff I'm up to, but they won't know about it. And it worked. They didn't know. And then I didn't tell them until I had graduated from John Hopkins, because I was like, I need to wait until something good happens to outweigh the shock that this is going to be.
Oh, wow.
Before. And I also didn't tell them I bought it 2 years ago. I just brought it home one day and said I have one now. Uh, so
How did you frame that? Did you frame it as like a present to yourself?
Yeah, it was just like not even like a present to myself. I'm like, hey, I bought a motorcycle. I wanted it, so I bought it. And it was I kind of just came home with it one day, and I left it out in the driveway, or not in the driveway, outside of the house. And
Mm.
my mom walked outside. She didn't like think anything of it because it could have been a neighbor's or whatever. But the next day, she saw it was like still there. And I get up in the morning and I go downstairs and I see a little handwritten note from my mom, which I still have to this day because it was hilarious. I boxed it up. It said, Lali, check out the motocicleta hasta aici, which means, Lali, what is this motorcycle doing here? And I was like, oh boy, when she comes home from work, it's going to be a day. Prepare yourself. So yeah, I told her it's mine, and she didn't speak to me for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a rough 2 weeks. But the funny part about this was she thought my dad was in on it, that he knew that I had bought it. And he didn't know. He was just as clueless, but she was convinced that he was like conspiring against her to hide it, to help hide it from her. And so she got mad at him. And he wasn't initially mad that I had a motorcycle. He was just like, really? But then he got mad at me because my mom got mad at him. He's like, you made your mom mad at me, and now I have to deal with like not having my lunch packed for a week as well. So we were both like just suffering while my mom came around. So
That's hilarious.
now it's like funny. But it wasn't like on any malice on my mom's part, because like obviously like any mom, she just wants me to be safe and not have anything happen to her only child.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand. I was preparing myself for that, and I can't really blame her. But I think now 10 years later, she sees that I'm still okay and that I actually take it seriously and I'm not like crazy. I wear my gear when I go out. I think she's a lot more like, okay, that's fine.
But they still worry about you.
I'm sure she's always going to worry. I think my dad worries a lot less about me, but my mom is like, I can go to the grocery store and she'll worry about me.
Parents. Oh, that's hilarious. That's funny too, because
I think that's something like a lot of kids can relate to, because if you go on YouTube and you search like how to convince my parents to buy a motorcycle, let me buy a motorcycle, there's so many videos, and like there's motovloggers making there's to this day, like I just saw one the other day, was like how to convince your parents to let you buy a bike, how to afford your first motorcycle. Like,
of course,
I think a lot of people are going through that.
I mean, I feel really old now because I went through a similar thing long before this whole like record every aspect of your life thing was a part of your daily life. But yeah, I mean, I bought a bike and kept at my friend's house for a while, so I can relate.
So your dad didn't know about the Hayabusa,
right? Yeah, no, exactly. No,
yeah,
I bought a bike.
Same story, just different faces. It's like
totally
it's doomed to repeat itself. I don't think that's going to change.
The only well, not the only, but like the biggest reason why it didn't work was because my bike started to like drip oil at in my friend's garage.
Oh no!
My friend's dad's house, and he was like, "Hey, I was happy to store this bike for you, but now it's dripping oil on my garage. Could you take it?" I was like, I guess that's my cue to fess up to my parents. I bought a motorcycle. And that was that.
So you didn't have any good news to soften the blow. You just, here's my leaking motorcycle. Now you have to deal with that too.
I for me it was more of like I'm an adult now. I have my own money. I paid for this with my job that I have now. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And so I took it home. My parents, my dad especially, was like, "What is this?" Dealt with the whole fallout of that, and then eventually it was
Are you gonna react the same way to your kids riding?
um
Like, do you think they'll have to hide their motorcycles from you?
oh, I hope not. I hope if they show interest, then I can actually like show them right from wrong rather
Right.
than them hiding it from me. I don't think
Having a
I
good
don't I hope
model.
I hope they don't feel the need to hide stuff like that from me. Um but they're far too little at this point to worry about that.
Get
Uh
little pit bikes.
I mean my little one likes to go nuts on her little bicycle. My older one's a bit more reserved, so I don't see that happening with her, but um I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's take a quick second to take a break and hear from our sponsor. Okay, quick break because we've got to talk about the Honda Goldwing. 5 decades in, and it's still the bike for taking on those bucket list rides in total comfort. Smooth power from that iconic flat six engine, plus all the storage, wind protection, and tech you could want. Whether you're crossing the country or just heading out for a long weekend, the Goldwing makes every mile count. Check out the 50th anniversary edition now at powersports.honda.com. All right, so welcome back, everybody. Let's get back into our next question here with Lali. Your my next question here is your mission statement on your website says you want to never stop learning. I think the previous questions we've had so far shows how much you enjoy being in school.
Yep.
Um, but never stop learning while sharing your passions. And so how have you used that ethos to shape your journey from school, like the sciences, into motorcycles, but also thirdly, like into creating your content?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of what I've been living. I've been learning about motorcycles along the way, and I've been sharing it along the way as well. Providing resources, hopefully, to people that are interested in getting into bikes. I feel like I am. Most recently, I've been living that on Threads, where I think I've become like a a part-time employee for the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, to where I know like the URL off the top of my head now, and I'll just type it out for people that are that are trying. Like, I'll come across so many questions like, I want to get my first motorcycle, I don't know how to get started, or like, where do I learn to ride? How do I learn to ride? And I'm like, you should check out msfusa.org. They're a great resource to get you started in fire safety course. Like, I should just have a copy paste now so I can save myself some time. But
Right.
I'm one of the first people to jump into the comments and suggest resources for people to get started, especially like beginners. And when I do that, if you, oftentimes right after, I'll get all the hearts. I'm like, yes, yes, what she said, do that, do that. So I know I'm on the right track um, with that. And I think in terms of other things I'm learning along the way, I've always tried to find a way to combine, and I'm still trying to find a way to combine more like the nerdy sciencey side with motorcycles. Part of the a few videos I've done on that series were, talking about motorcycle airbags in detail, and another video where I looked at tinnitus or tinnitus, which people give me so much crap about saying tinnitus, but you can actually say it both ways. Both ways is correct.
I mean,
Um,
you have the PhD. I believe you.
yeah, I was like, at one point, I'm like, trust me, I'm a doctor. I promise you, this is fine. But no, so I'll be an advocate for hearing protection, because that's actually something I suffer a little bit from, and I'm like, I don't want this to get worse. I don't want other
Mm-hmm.
people to lose their hearing, so I'll be like the first, like, here's earplugs, wear earplugs. Here's the best
Mm-hmm.
brands, here's the ones that suck,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I'm trying to do more videos like that, where I want to maybe go a little bit into like common injuries and ways that are we can prevent that. One of my long standing dreams, we'll see if this ever happens, was to go into Revit's, because I wear a lot of Revit stuff, go into Revit's like research lab, and I think they're in the Netherlands,
Hmm.
and see how they're developing these protection features. Like how is the leather getting tested? You know, how is abrasion resistance getting tested? What is like, how are they measuring ratings for CE armor? Um, so that would
If
be dope.
they're, I mean, that that shouldn't seem like a far-fetched fantasy for you. I'm
Yeah,
sure that
I should
could
reach out to some
happen.
people, see if they're if they want to.
Um, for what it's worth, Alpine Stars has a laboratory in Italy where they do exactly that, and they
Mm-hmm.
have all these machines and contraptions that do exactly what you just said.
I bet, and probably Dianese too. Like they're all,
Probably. Yeah, yeah. So that could probably happen.
yeah. So a video like that would be, I think, right up my alley of combining, that ethos that you mentioned earlier, my mission statement.
Okay. Um, I did that one already. Um, oh, I like this one. Um, you kind of touch on aspects of like my next four questions. So, but like,
Oh, beautiful. I didn't see a script for references, so this is all off the cuff
that's
then.
so since you've kind of touched on them, I have to like now reconfigure how I ask those questions, which is it's great. It's actually fantastic that like we're thinking along the same wavelength here. Um, let's see. Okay. So with your since you do like and you just said it yourself, you like to kind of combine your scientific background with motorcycling and I assume just kind of your daily life too, right?
Yeah.
Um, you like to combine your scientific background with motorcycles and probably even to your daily life. How do you use your scientific training to influence not only your approach to riding motorcycles, whether that's in terms to safety or technique, but also even to like the gear you wear?
Mhm. Yeah, so I think uh, there's like a common a common trait against, I think, like all scientists, where you kind of expect a scientist to be like this quiet, calculated, analytical type of person. Like think Sherlock Holmes type, like classic Sherlock Holmes type stuff. And I think that's kind of, personality wise, that's a little bit how I view myself as well. Um, and in terms of how that translates to my writing, I think it keeps me very like level-headed as a rider. I don't get road rage, which is something I can't say for a lot of younger riders. I've never thought about smashing someone's mirror in. I've never thought about like doing something insanely crazy, as because I, in my mind, I immediately know, like, my monkey brain shut down, because I know if I start a fight with anybody, road rage, I'm gonna lose.
Hmm.
And so I think it gives me kind of like I get my leg up in this space is that I can keep a level head and keep my cool in a high stress situation, which is, I think, something that's very valuable when you're riding a motorcycle. And if you're able to keep your, almost like your monkey brain suppressed and be calm, cool, collected, and methodical, you'll be safer as a rider and you'll make better choices. So that includes, hey, I know I don't want to wear my gear today, but I'm going to do it anyway because this is just what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine
Mm-hmm.
if it's hot. That's all right. We can shower later. I can put deodorant on and I can still wear my jacket regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's having that, I think, analytical mind translates to how you ride, which is a little bit more calm, cool, and collected.
Because at the end of the day, the car is still bigger than you and your motorcycle.
Right. You're always going to lose. You're
Yeah.
always going to lose if you pick a fight with a car.
Right. Right. Um, take me through your process for content creation. Like how you said you storyboard and you're
Mhm.
your own editor. So like take me from start to finish.
So not all videos start off with like a draft or scripting. If I'm doing a lot more like a video where I'm like this, where this is my background and I'm doing a lot of talking head, and I know I have a specific like scientific topic or something I want to cover, I'll usually have like a draft of what I'm trying to say with like resources that I need to reference. And that'll take me a few hours to put together. And then I can sit down in front of the camera for a few hours, film that. And then the worst part, starting the editing process, going through all that, trying to make myself sound, cut out my 50 bad takes, find B-roll that's suitable to use. And if I didn't film enough, which I often don't because I'm not a professional, I'm like, okay, great, now I have to go back and film more B-roll. So I'll do that, and it is very time consuming in a way, but I think the reward is when I get to upload it and I get feedback from people. I'm like, yes, all the hard work paid off, and now I have something on my YouTube channel that is going to live there forever. And I'm hoping, like, when I'm 90 or however long I live to, and I'm in some nursing home and I can't move out of my bed, I can have like a lifetime of videos on my YouTube channel that I can watch back and be like, oh my god, I've lived a good life and I've documented it and I'm happy. So ultimately, it's cheesy to say that the YouTube channel is for myself, but I'm probably going to be the only one watching it when I'm like, an invalid or something, just reminiscing, looking at all the things I've done. So yeah,
No,
kind of make videos I want to watch.
that's an awesome answer. I mean, don't you feel lucky that we live in an age now where our lives can be documented in such a way?
It's a blessing and a curse, but I think sometimes it's hard to see it as a blessing, but maybe hopefully that put it into perspective a little bit.
No. Yeah, like I wish I could see my grandparents' lives like that, but all we have are stories
Like
passed down from generation to generation.
yeah, I have a few black and white photos of my grandma or my great grandma.
I mean, both of my grandfathers passed before I was even born,
Oh
so
wow.
I know pretty much nothing about them. Wouldn't it be cool if there was like video documentation
Right.
of like their
This
lives?
is yeah, this is where you came from. You're right.
Yeah, no, so like the honesty there of yeah, my channel's for me mostly. Is kind of refreshing.
I hope I don't know it to be like selfish, but yeah, I think I do want to make videos that I'll enjoy watching when I'm old.
No, that's and then like the natural course of life is your interests will either they'll change, they'll grow,
Mhm.
they'll do whatever, and like as you document yourself in that way, it'll be super cool to see that timeline of your life basically.
Right, especially if your interests change. Like my mom, I was watching a video on my phone, and it was a pilot crash analysis video of this flight that crashed. And I was watching it, and then she came back like a little bit later, and I was watching another one. She's like, "Don't tell me you're trying to get into aviation now," and be like, she's just afraid I'm going to bring home an airplane next. And I'm like, I don't want to say that I want a pilot's license, but I kind of do.
Are
Like,
you are you hiding a plane at your friend's house right now?
in a hangar somewhere. That one might be harder to conceal. And put it in the backyard, throw a couple of leaves and bushes over it. Hope they don't
Uh,
notice.
nothing to see here, just a
Yeah,
giant
just
wing.
ignore that.
Oh, that's funny. Um,
So yeah, it'll
let's.
absolutely be a compilation of things that interest me throughout my life.
I mean, so far anyway, in everything you've put out there in the world, what would you consider your favorite thing you've done so far, regardless of what like the comments or the ratings or
Mhm.
whatever say? Like, what do you value as your best thing you've put out there so far?
I have a lot of content to pull out of my deep memory right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think well there's pieces of content on my channel that represent like I guess monumental steps in my journey as a content creator, but also like in my like journey to get my PhD, which definitely was a journey. It was like the hardest thing I've done. And so I don't know that it's necessarily one piece of content that I'm most proud of, but it's the pieces of content where I come on and I either have a new experience that I've never been or wouldn't have been able to do had I not put in all this work beforehand. Like Triumph would never invited me to Spain to review a motorcycle if I hadn't had like 7 years of backlogged content and built up like, a decent reputation as a creator. So that's like a huge first for me. Or the Harley Davidson Pan America launch, to be able to ride off road and get coaching with their own team. Insane. And then, or a video about me, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dr. Lali today. And it's like the video I put out right after I graduated and got my PhD, telling people like, hey, it's doctor now and this is what I want to do next. So just certain videos that represent like big stages in my life that I would consider like core memories, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. That's I mean, that's big for anybody, right? All right, let's have a little bit of fun here. You're a fan of MotoGP.
Yes.
Well, first of all, there it is. There it is.
I actually have a full like framed photo of him, but I don't have it up today. But
well, you have to move those 2 degrees above them out of the way,
so you can put more
Bezecchi stuff on the walls.
I'm gonna have a collage wall eventually.
All right, let's have some fun with this. First of all, when did you start really getting into MotoGP? Do you remember?
It was after, I hate to say it was like another motovlog that introduced me to this, but I kept hearing the term street Rossi in motovlogs and I didn't know what that was. I was like, what the heck is a street Rossi? And I looked it up and then I realized, oh, this is a famous motorcycle racer. I'm like, I wonder what things he's done. And I just started watching like videos of him racing to see like what people meant by street Rossi. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Like, what is this? This is MotoGP. And then I found like a website that just had a backlog of every race since like 2008. And I went through and I was watching every MotoGP race that had Rossi in it, I think, or whenever his first year in MotoGP was. That's when I started watching them. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. So I started like learning about the riders, their drama and stuff like that, seeing them come in and out of the different series, switch to different manufacturers. It's cool.
That I praise you for like digging into the archives to see all the past races and like go down that super dark black rabbit hole of past dramas of riders who don't even race anymore and they're all retired and stuff, just so you can get the context for what's happening today.
Okay, to be fair, maybe I didn't watch every single one with like minute attention because I'd have them playing on while I was like working on like work or homework or whatever. But that's still fair. They were there and I was like, oh, someone made a pass.
Right. No. Yeah. Because those races can be pretty boring sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. That's how you found it.
Mm-hmm.
I assume your favorite rider is Bez.
Yeah, I don't want to say I have a favorite rider, but I guess since I have 2 of his autographs, maybe now I can say it is. I do like Marquez for all the hates he gets, because I admire his drive and determination to come back from his insane injury and still win. But Bezecchi I liked because when I was watching interviews with him, everything this guy said was like, I'm not that good. He was so humble about everything. And I remember he was doing some interview a few days before Argentina or something. He's like, oh, I'm not that good or whatever. And then he got like first place or second place or something in his second MotoGP race ever. And I'm like, you're kind of good. Like, he is like such a sweetheart. And he also has a dog. So like, he always posts photos of it. So I'm like, Bezecchi's so nice.
He's a cool dude.
He's like the dude next door. Yeah.
And he can just like ride the wheels off of a motorcycle.
Yeah. And he's Valentino Rossi's protege. So like, how can you not like him? Actually, I don't know if he's not with Rossi's team anymore, but I think initially he was.
He's still part of like Rossi's crew and all that stuff. Like when
like
they go
Sky.
Oh, you mean like from like the Moto3 and Moto2 days and stuff like that?
Because he was being coached by Rossi's team. Maybe that's what I'm getting confused about.
I mean, I still see him going to like Rossi's ranch and riding around with
Exactly. Maybe
all
that's why I'm
those
like,
guys.
oh, okay, he's on Ross. Like he's Rossi's
Yeah.
coaching him. So, but
Yeah.
I also I like Pedro Acosta just because he has no filter. So he's like the opposite of Bezecchi. And he's not a bad rider. You know, he's not a bad rider either. It's not his rookie. Is this his rookie season? No, it's not his rookie
No, no.
season.
But yeah,
It's
you're right.
Ayagura's
I agree
uh,
with rookie season.
rookie, which
Yeah,
I
no.
also really love for like a completely different reason. I don't. I like riders for their personality and how I like see them interviewing. Um, more so, I guess, than like what place they're finishing. Well, I guess
Mm.
we like Marquez because he's finishing first, but
I
yeah.
mean, I tend to, I don't know about you, but like when you mentioned Agura, I
Mhm.
was like nothing against the European riders, but whenever I see a non European rider, first just on the grid, but if they're doing well, like
Mhm.
I'm always cheering for the non European
Dude,
rider.
I love I.
Yeah, it's just like all the cards are stacked against them. And so to see a non European do well, you're just like, yay!
You
You did
literally
it.
are you do you choose your like your favorite riders based on like how they're placing, what team they're on, or their personality, or like a combination?
Kind of a combination and like the backstory. Like I was never like a rah fan of Marquez, but I respected his talent.
Right.
And
He
then
is good. You can't
yeah,
deny.
right? And then now to see what he's doing and what he has done and his complete personality change and how much he's just enjoying the moment. I'm
Yeah.
like, how can you not like this guy?
Yeah. And
But
now with his brother also just following in his footsteps, it's like Marquez domination.
you know Alex goes to bed at night thinking, if my brother weren't here,
So it'd be my
I'd be the best in the world.
well, it's like funny to hear the commentators like who's Gavin Emmett will like always say like, "Oh, I bet you uh, Mark Marquez's mom right now is just saying, let Alex have a turn." Like they're like, and Mark is just like, "Okay, Alex, you've had your fun. It's time for me to pass you now. You've spent enough laps in first."
That's got to be demoralizing.
Right, right. I almost feel bad for him.
And like, as a little brother myself, I'm like, Alex, go, man, go.
Oh man,
Like I get PTSD from when my own older brother would beat me at something, and I'm like, oh man,
just for once.
this is rough. Um, let's see here. Ooh, here's a fun one I had. So, in your own words, describe the different kinds of motorcycles and the different kinds of motorcyclists.
Different types of motorcycles and the different types of motorcyclists. See, I feel like I could give you like the classic answers, like, "Oh, you have sport bikes and cruisers and
Yeah,
nakeds."
and like you've got stereotypes for each of them, as we all do.
Yeah, I did actually like a whole series where I was like different motorcycles walking into a room and like the types of personalities they have, and like the Ducati's always in a fancy outfit with money in their hands, and they like open the door and they're like, "I don't want to be here." They close the door. I don't. I'm above this party. Like Aprilia will just like come racing in because their slogan is to be a racer. They just like knock the door down. Harley
Bear
opens the
racer,
door.
bear
Bear
racer.
racer. Harley opens the door with their beer belly, like the beer that belly enters first. They got a beer in their hand or something, like very classic stereotypes. Kawasaki walks in and they're decked out in like stunt rider gear. They got like elbow pads, knee pads with a Monster Energy in their hand. They don't even know what MotoGP is. So, um, I do make what do I have for Yamaha's like coming in with a case of beer and like a boom box on the other side because they're like always way too much hyper energy, life of the party. type of people. BMW's over like in the corner signing autographs because he's the cool guy with his sunglasses on at the club.
This was
Like,
this was the answer I was hoping for. Keep going.
yes, yes, 1000 rider on with like the carbon pista, just like you know. But it's funny because every time I do like one of those skits or something like that, I'm wondering like whose marketing blacklist am I going to end up on? Like they don't know that it's a joke. Like please don't blacklist me.
Do you care about that? Really?
I think it's more of like it's more like a whose brand is serious enough to not take this as a joke versus like who would get a laugh out of it versus who would be like who is this girl? Block this page immediately.
But
I
then do
feel
you
like
want to
maybe only Ducati might maybe hate me if I made fun of them like that.
I mean, if whoever snubs their nose at you, would you want to work with them anyway?
This is true. You have a point.
You're like, well, if as long as the check's cash, I don't care.
They're not. You guys are getting paid for this. Wait a minute. Wait.
No. Trust me. No, we are not. Absolutely not. You have things on your wall. Look at my wall.
Where's your Hayabusa poster?
In flames. I lit that thing up the minute I could.
Oh man, that's funny. But I think it's most people understand that it's in good humor. I don't think I've been blacklisted yet. Like no one's come to me and be like, "Hey, we find this offensive, take it down." Before, so I think I'm in the clear.
I think you should stick to your voice and your stereotypes.
I will. I gotta redo that series because I feel like I filmed it with potato quality.
I mean that does kind of lead me to my next question here. Having worked with some of the big brands in this industry like Harley and Revzilla and so on, how do you stay authentic to your own personal voice and values, but also, collaborate with this sponsor?
I think so far it's been fairly easy. There's only been like one sponsor ever that was very like, you can't say this specific thing about us, right? Like you have to word it somehow in a different way. And that was my fault for not reading through the contract at first because it was like very early on. I was like maybe my second or third contract that I was ever signing, so I didn't know. But for the most part, people are pretty open into letting me have my own voice and do what I need to. And sometimes I don't even send things off for review. Like I will, for example, when I'm going to be editing this video for behind the scenes for Harley, I will send it to them as like a courtesy of like, hey, can you fact check me to make sure everything I'm saying in this video is like correct? I don't want to get like the weight of the bike wrong or something, a detail like that. But if they were like, oh, we actually don't want you to put this entire segment with our rider, and I would be like, well, why?
Right.
I would like heavily push back and question why that is.
Right. So it sounds like, so far anyway, you're allowed to be you.
Yeah, not too many restrictions.
So you're a doctor. I mean, and you said you want to use your channel as documentation of your life. But I mean, what's the split between motorcycles as part of your life, but also the scientific aspect of your life in as far as like, job prospects?
Yeah, so I work in marketing actually, but for a biotech firm in Philly.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I'm kind of connected to the marketing world in a very different sense. But I don't think that that's something I would really like publish or be like, hey guys, come to work with me. So like that's not really super on brand. It would be more on brand for me to be able to connect like some scientific topic to motorcycles rather than like come with me to work a day at my job or something. And
is that more just to keep the lights on and pay the bills sort of a thing?
The job or the content creation?
The job.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely pays a lot more than content creation. You know,
Yeah.
the didn't do the PhD for nothing.
For sure, for sure.
So I'm definitely
Yeah,
capitalizing on that now. But it's like, yeah, it is my passion because it is in marketing and it's something I know so well, and it's also connecting like the scientific and data science aspect of my life together in like a meaningful way. But it's not. I don't think that's something that like people would be interested in seeing on my channel. And even in the past, when I've talked about what I do in research and at school, I've always kept my name out of it because I wouldn't want people to search my name up and looking for like a scientific paper I wrote and have like motorcycles coming up. Like
sure,
those are just two
sure,
totally separate topics on like
sure.
pediatric cancer research versus motorcycles on the other hand. So in terms of if I should probably start a second channel if I wanted to do anything like very super scientific and go into that aspect of my life, but that would be way too much work that I wouldn't be getting paid for. So one YouTube channel is enough.
Well, then we can start. We can start now because now is that leads perfectly into my completely non-motorcycle related question.
Okay.
So you said you spent a lot of time doing pediatric leukemia
Mhm.
research, right?
Mhm.
And so my understanding is even as early as like 50 years ago, the survival rate for pediatric leukemia
Mhm.
was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's complete, well, not completely, but it's the survival rate is much better, as high as like 85% in some cases I've
Mhm.
read. um, Explain to us, if you will, what advances in technology and in medical sciences has improved the survival rate for kids with
Yeah.
leukemia.
I think the short answer to that question is personalized medicine. And what I was studying, and a big part of what the direction that the cancer research seems to be going in, is to look at specific, I guess, mutations in a person's DNA. And those mutations can be little single one DNA base pair mutations, or they can be very large structural rearrangements of the genome, which is what I was studying. So, for a good example of this, is like somebody with Down syndrome. You have like an extra chromosome 21 that's considered a structural rearrangement of the genome. Those people, leukemia is characterized by these big structural rearrangements, and some of them cause minor inconveniences, and some of them cause big, like affect the survival rate in a very big sense. And so, if you can take a medication that targets a specific mutation, like let's say you have a mutation that makes a bad protein, and that protein causes all kinds of havoc in a kid's body, leading to leukemia. If you can take a medication that disables that bad protein, you can manage that person's symptoms and really improve their cancer. And then you can treat them with like chemotherapy or immunotherapy to get rid of those cancer producing cells, and hopefully it doesn't come back. And some of that medication, because of the research that universities like the one I was at, like Penn State, John Hopkins, are doing, um, end up giving us more targets that we can create medicines against. So that if you have, you mentioned the survival rate being 50% many years ago, and now it's like 85 or 90. Targeting that last 10% is going to be difficult because you have to get very specialized and figure out what particular mutation in each person's body is contributing to their disease, and see if we can have specialized therapies to target those last 10%, those like very rare cases. So it's improved, and now you'll see like it's like very slowly improving because targeting that last bit is very difficult. But that kind of explains the recent advances that you see from like 50 to 80.
If you do start your own YouTube channel about medical sciences, I'd watch that.
I appreciate that, Troy. I'll have to have like a like B-roll or some more fancy graphics, so it's not just like a talking head, like a whiteboard.
No, I mean, like, I hope anyway, we are more than just motorcyclists, but we're people who have other interests as well. And, as a father myself, uh, kids do have a soft spot with me, and sick kids are especially sad to hear about,
Right.
saying the obvious here, I know, but like, um, doing what you do, or at least being involved in the medical sciences as you are to you know help innocent children hopefully lead healthy, fruitful, happy lives. Like, how could you
Yeah.
not want that for somebody? So
Amen to that. I think
um
I'm satisfied that I've hopefully contributed something meaningful to society with my research. And like you said, every motorcyclist under that helmet is a person. You never know who you're going to meet in the community.
right, right. So last question for you. Looking forward, here's a fun, just pie in the sky question for you. If you had unlimited resources, how would you design a project or an initiative that unites your science expertise, your passion for motorcycling, and your role as a creator slash influencer?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I feel like a riding school is the logical answer to that
Oh yeah.
question. Yeah, like starting a course or a riding school where you teach those principles of being a disciplined, level-headed rider to maybe like these crazy adrenaline-filled teenagers. I don't know how successful that would be, but I'm sure with unlimited resources, if you throw enough
Yeah.
money at it, maybe it'll be successful.
There you go. Money is no issue in this one. Go crazy
Yeah,
with it.
yeah. I think you'd have to have like that's funny. I would love to get like there was a few other people at school that,
Oh,
and by a few I mean like two other. I had a professor that rode, and one other girl from like a different lab that rode occasionally. So I'd probably get like them together, like every scientist and doctor who rides, into like one room, and we can collaborate and come up with something to make riding a safer sport. Maybe that would be developing better gear, better helmets, better courses, better riding techniques.
I love it. I mean, if this could be possible, I would imagine, some of the smartest brains in the world could make it happen. So, uh, very cool. Lali, I have taken up a lot of your time, especially with my technical difficulties,
Ah,
which
you're fine.
I can't explain. Um, yeah, I have more to talk about, but that's
Stay
probably
tuned for
best.
episode 13.
Gonna say that's best saved for maybe another interview somewhere down the line. So I guess we can. I think we'll end it there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one. This was a fun talk, a fun discussion. Hopefully we get to ride in Spain again someday.
I hope that is true. And I think this piece of content is going to make it. If I ever get asked that question again of what's your favorite piece of content, this is going to be one of those like core milestones. A motorcycle journalist has officially interviewed me and deemed me worthy.
This will be somewhere in like the top 100 or something like that.
Definitely top five.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. So nice. Um, Very cool. Lali, thank you so much for joining me. And stay on the line. I'm going to pop you off here for a second. But yeah, thanks for joining us. And let's do this again sometime.
Thank you, Troy. I appreciate it. Bye, everyone.
Alrighty, y'all. Yeah, Lali's a cool person. I think hopefully by now you understand why I wanted to talk to her for this podcast. Very, very, very smart. You don't become a doctor for nothing. But to combine that level-headed demeanor with the passion for motorcycling and the passion for the sciences and the want to make human beings healthier and live longer is a very admirable thing. So I want to thank Lali one more time for joining us. Hopefully we get to do this again soon because, like I said, there was way more I wanted to ask her, but eventually we have to cut these things to an end. So there you go. So yeah, that'll wrap things up for episode 12 of the Bore and Stoke podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music, please, please, please leave us a message and a rating. That really does help us out. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Maybe ask Lali some questions. Maybe she'll pop in and answer them. But that about wraps things up for episode 12. Stay tuned for episode 13. That's just around the corner. And yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the Bore and Stoke podcast, brought to you by the 50th anniversary Honda Goldwing. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, ride safe, and we'll see you later. That's it for this episode of Bore and Stoke, brought to you by Honda Powersports and the 50th anniversary Goldwing. Can you believe it? That's 5 decades of chasing horizons, collecting stories, and setting the bar for comfort and performance. So whether you're thinking about big miles or just big weekends, if you're gonna ride something legendary. Discover the 50th anniversary Goldwing today at powersports.honda.com.